Shut up and sit down.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hell yeah, Batman!
Our bikes love us and we love them back as we ride through the city by the cars like plaque on the teeth of the town. We just keep on singing. We're unstoppable.
Oh, hell yeah!
G&O. Unstoppable kids. Yeah. Get your bike and go.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand,
Sir Ian Gibson,
Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. One of the most important decisions you will make is to be in a good mood. For every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. So, crank it up and be happy, my friend.
When things are good, when things are hard, we ride together, we don't drive cars, but together we make such beautiful music.
Oh, hell yeah, brother. Yeet.
Unstoppable mamas. A G&O, we're unstoppable. Unstoppable kids, yeah. Get your bike and go. Get your bike and go. Unstoppable papas. Pedal and flow.
New phone, who this? Two phones, two whips. New bag, new whip.
Leave a message at the tone.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dialed Podcast. I'm Jake Von During. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
What's up, mother scratchers? So close to blowing our G rating.
Blow it.
So close.
Yeah, good times. All right, and to his right, the one and only, give me a second here,
There
Ian
it
Gibson.
is.
Hola.
He's
Hola,
here.
Gator.
That's the only talking you're going to do the entire podcast. That's it.
I learned it in Spain.
He's been screaming and yelling so much that he's lost his voice. So, but he came on the podcast anyway for some moral support.
In that right there, folks, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look fan-freaking-tastic.
Look at, we actually all made it into a room together. It's been
not easy.
5 weeks,
5 weeks?
since the four of us were in the room together.
It's not easy to get this
Hey,
group of guys
hold on.
together.
Is this thing on? Is this working?
Dude, I don't remember how to talk into a mic or run the whole show.
We'll
We don't
figure it
know.
out.
Yeah, we don't remember.
We'll figure it out.
Well, how about we do a little bit of backpedaling? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Matt.
No,
Matt.
I always go first. Well,
5
unless
weeks
you want to go
of
first.
back
No,
pain.
I'm-
This is gonna take a while.
I think I've been biking like once a week, but I've been trying to go longer. And so, like when the weather's nice on a Saturday or a Sunday, I think mostly it's I don't even know which day it's been, but the going out to Vancouver Lake and putting in some miles and
good.
Yeah, felt like I did almost 52 days ago, and like even within that last hour. So what I did was I went out and I found some friends, some triathlon friends, rode with them for a little bit. That was super chill. And, so rode out hard, chilled out for like a little bit, and then rode back in hard, basically. And I felt pretty good. Like usually when you're out of shape, it's like the last hour is not pretty, but feeling okay.
It wasn't too bad.
No, I was happy. I think it's like the little bit of biking, maybe the 100-day thing or whatever it is. Like I'm like, okay, like it's not good by any means. I have no watts to push, but like the second half wasn't worse than the first half. So that I'm happy with. You got to find the bright side of the coin.
Right.
I just made that mannerism up.
Huh?
But yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, and the weather here's been good.
Let's go for a ride sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're ready. I was thinking about hitting you up, and then I was like, he's probably not ready yet.
I'll talk about that more in a minute.
He's been hurting.
Can you talk? Are you?
Yes, barely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many days have you been sick now? It's been quite a few, yeah?
It's been off and on for 3 weeks.
A month. No,
Yeah.
it's been a full month.
It's been a full month.
Yeah, because I remember when we last recorded, it's been a minute since that. You weren't feeling good then either, and it's been a month.
The voice thing is new. I don't know what happened there, but I've basically had this bronchial infection since early May. And yeah, just not feeling it.
And you're like, I'm going to bike through it.
Not really. I took 2.5 weeks off of riding, which absolutely killed me. And I followed up with a 300-mile week.
Yes, as you do.
As you do in Mallorca.
Yeah, Ian and I went to Mallorca, Spain for a week. And I think if I didn't have cancelable tickets
Yeah.
to get there,
Otherwise
otherwise Ian would not have gone.
Right.
But because I was already going, Ian's like, okay, damn it, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
So
And it was horrible.
it was not horrible.
Leading up to it, it was stressful because I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. And anyway, we did 2 days of riding, and I gradually felt better, and then 3 more days where I felt pretty strong. But I'm still not 100%. It's taken it out of me. I think my racing season is done. I don't know, struggling with allergies and chest infections and bad knees. And
just get back to riding and go out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the summer.
Well, I still have some fitness, remarkably, but
Sure.
Anyway,
Ian dropped me several times. Don't let him fool you. Yeah. So
Mallorca was just excellent, though. It was so good, despite the sickness. So.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Who is he? He's an asshole, sir.
And
what's his name? That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole. How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Two other ones,
A couple. Yeah.
Anyway. Well, that's cool. I mean, Mallorca, you just, go to Mallorca.
Did you go to
ride bikes for a little bit? Yeah.
Did you go to England first and then?
I did.
Okay.
I did, but that was kind of cut short as well because I was not feeling it. Not feeling up to doing this 10-hour flight to London.
Right.
And
Okay.
eventually I got on and spent a couple of days at home. Yep. And then 6 days in Mallorca?
yeah, we rode 6 days.
5 days of riding. It was gorgeous. Yeah.
Mallorca, Ian, I should talk about it because Ian doesn't have a voice,
doesn't have a voice.
Yes.
at the moment. But
Please do.
Backpedal for us.
It's one of those cycling destinations that is stunningly remarkable. I mean, Ian and I, we've ridden in a lot of very cool places. I've ridden in a lot of cool places all over the world, but Mallorca was pretty special. The roads there are fantastic. The dollar is cheap in Spain. Things are not that expensive. The climbing, the mountain range, the climate,
How's
the
the traffic
atmosphere.
and all that on the
So
island?
here's the beauty of it.
Big old island, right?
Yeah, it is a big island. It's 60, 70, 80 miles across, I think.
Okay.
So it's not gigantic, but it's 80 miles across. The beauty of this island is it's so old and there's so old settlements there that there's these classic old country roads that cut through the middle of towns, and they didn't rebuild the highways on those roads. They built the highways in different spots. So those classic old roads are still there. So there's these bike routes all across the island on these little paved country lanes that there's no traffic on.
Are cars allowed to drive on them?
Yes, cars are allowed
But
to
just
drive
nobody
on.
uses it
Nobody
because-
uses them because the bikes are on them.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, that there's so many cyclists there. I mean, on any given day, you probably see 1,000 cyclists
Yeah,
on
we
the road.
saw
No
that
joke.
many.
thousands. Yeah.
It's like going to it's like being on Swift in Watopia,
Seriously.
but in real life.
Wow.
Like you see everybody from families, tourists, people on e-bikes to full on pro pelotons.
So
Big-
why do you still live here?
It's pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable.
And so these this by the weight of numbers, the traffic or the car traffic to bicycle traffic ratio is pretty good. So a lot of these roads, cars will avoid those roads because they know there's so many cyclists on them.
Yeah.
It's kind of the whole story is flipped in that sense. So
What's the cost of living like there?
it's hard to judge. It's kind of like
Jake
Tenerife, like in the touristy
Yeah, think about
areas.
moving.
Yeah, he's scheming.
You have an economy around tourism.
Sure.
So prices are a little bit elevated. But if you get off the beaten path and stop for a coffee and a piece of cake in some of these little villages, it's like Tenerife. It's cheap.
Okay,
The local economy is favorable. Yeah.
Another question. It's a Spanish province. It's not connected to Spain properly. It's an island, obviously. They're not taking too kindly to tourism right now, and tourists in general in Spain. Is that sentiment felt there as well?
No, and it's only in a handful of places in Europe, like the really heavily touristy places. Barcelona, in particular, there's been a bit of a backlash against the volume of tourists there. No, I wouldn't say Mallorca suffers that.
It's mostly driven by tourism, so
I wouldn't say it's bad. I mean, obviously, it's driving the price of real estate up.
Sure.
Driving grocery prices up for the locals, definitely. And yet, tourism brings in so much to that economy.
Mm-hmm.
And cycling, they've kind of developed this. It's a destination for cyclists in particular, more so than regular lounge by the pool, sit on the beach tourism.
Yes. Yeah, it really attracts the cyclists. There's like bike rental shops all over the place, like that are filled with Pinarellos and Scotts and BMCs. It's not.
Do they need another bike shop over there?
maybe they do.
Right.
So it's really pretty remarkable. And there's a mountain range on the north side of the island that's where most of the riding happens, on this north side of the island through this mountain range. And there are just fantastic classic climbs. And the pavement on this road, it's called the MA10, is ridiculously perfect.
Along the northern coast.
The whole northern coast.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we did a ride one day where we took a bus transfer all the way to one side of the island and then rode 75 miles back along this highway. And, and it took us like 5 hours or something, and it was just phenomenal. The views, it's along the coast, it's windy, it goes through these classic little 800-year-old towns. Yeah. There's these watchtowers, the weather is perfect. You do a 10-mile climb, and then you have an 8-mile descent, and then it was stunning how fantastic it was.
Wow.
So there's a lot of just really classic, gorgeous rides, and you see why people go there for cycling. And literally, we're not kidding, thousands and thousands of cyclists we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray from DC Rainmaker moved there.
He did.
And I was trying to put you guys in contact with each other, and he was like, I'll be back in town on Thursday.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know.
I think he went back to Amsterdam to do some filming for a drone or something, I think is what he did. But he wasn't in town. And he lives on the opposite side of the island where we were staying.
But then I saw that when you guys did that long, whatever you called it, M8 or
MA10.
MA10. I was like, oh, you're not that far from him.
No, we weren't.
When you started on that side. But anyway, whatever. Next time.
So yeah, pretty incredible. There's some YouTube videos that we made about the shows and some Instagram reels that I put up about some of the places we went. So if you want to see some of those things, you can find them on my social media crap. So
nice.
So it was pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
So
we did Sacalabra as well. That was on day 2.
Is that a good climb?
Sacalabra is
it's iconic. It's one of the most well-known climbs in the world.
It is. Yeah. It's one of the more well-known climbs in the world.
Yeah.
It's like 6 kilometers long. No, pardon me. 10 kilometers long, 6 miles long. But it gains it averages 7.5% or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's steepish.
Yeah,
but the road is just absolutely stunning, gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just switchbacks and turns back on itself and it goes down to this little tiny beach inlet, like tiny little town. The town is actually called Sacalabra. And then you climb up this road that goes to the Col de Reis, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And you see people just like drilling it. It's like it's one of the spots where you test your fitness on this.
Did you guys drill
6-mile climb?
We tried.
Ian was still sick. He was still trying to come over it.
Were you like, did you see where you were on the Strava list?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Dead last.
There's something like, 300,000 on the KOM?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's like 300,000 people have attempted it.
So you guys are right up there in that 300,000 range.
Like the KOM is like 22 minutes, and that's held by Pidcock. A good time, like a fast time, is under 30 minutes. Oh. A respectable time is under 40 minutes. And so it's not a difficult climb. So Ian was trying to break 40 minutes. He'd done it before in like 46.
46.
Yeah, he'd done it in 46 before. So he was trying to break 40 minutes. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to try to break 40 minutes too.
Yeah.
But But I didn't even break 50 minutes.
Tough climb.
It was a tough climb.
And I was on pace to break 40 minutes, but then I just broke apart with like 4 miles left to go.
You just imploded on this climb. I mean, like, I almost caught him. Like, I was within like 20 seconds behind him at the top of the climb because he just imploded at the top. And then we had to like stop for like an hour so Ian could like recover. And it's in a difficult spot on the island.
Yeah.
So it's not like we still had to ride like 35 miles home.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's like it's a long ways from everything.
Right, it's kind of in the middle of everything.
It's kind of in the middle of
right,
everything.
so you got to get back.
So yeah,
It was too bad. It was day 2. I was still feeling kind of crappy, and we didn't want to leave it to the last minute in case the weather changed or something. So we went ahead and did it, but yeah, I was not ready for that.
But Majorca is
We
pretty
still
special.
were probably some of the fastest on the day. Like
We were in the top 50 on the day out of
Right.
like 300 or 400 that did it that day. But
Good job, guys.
Is pretty funny. The road is like very popular with like sports cars and motorcycles because it's like a windy, curvy mountain road that people just love to rip down. So that's what also kind of makes it fun.
Did you see any of that out there? Anybody tearing it up while you're
Oh yeah.
like anything sketchy?
No, nothing sketchy, but like motorcycles just ripping along the road, just ripping. Yeah, it's
Sounds a little scary.
it's pretty fun. So
I don't know. The traffic to cyclists again was so respectful. It wasn't
very
like
much so.
So you guys have done Tenerife and you've done
Majorca.
Majorca. Which one would you go back to if you could only go to one?
Yes.
We talked about this a lot. The place that we can stay in Majorca is better. It's just as cheap. It's right on the ocean. It includes breakfast and dinner. It cost us $800 for the week for the room and for breakfast and dinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Plus, it was literally across the street from the beach.
Yeah.
So it was in a really great location. So
You guys probably didn't spend too much time doing the beach stuff anyway.
we did
but-
not, but we went down there and we both took a dip in the ocean because
Okay.
it's the Mediterranean and you need to do that. So
Yeah. How was the water this time of year? Pretty warm, right? Pretty
it's not
decent?
super warm, but it's it's 70.
But that's the other factor is we went to Tenerife at the end of January, and at that time of year in Mallorca, it's usually good, but you
Right.
can't. It's a little bit cooler because it's further north.
Yep.
You can't rely on the weather as much. So if you have, if you're booking a vacation months out and you don't know what the weather's going to be like, Tenerife is certainly a safer option. Tenerife is beautiful as well. As there is no flat roads on Tenerife. It's all climbing. Whereas Mallorca, you can do
You
a
can
little.
stay in the Central Valley and stay
Yeah.
flat for a day if you want to.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
So Tenerife in January,
So,
February.
Yeah, January,
Majorca.
February, Tenerife. The rest of the year, Majorca.
All right.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is good stuff to know.
Yeah.
This is what the listeners are paying for.
This Tenerife for Majorca. And then Tucson the rest of the spring.
And then, did you do anything else in the past couple of weeks? Have you raced any?
Yeah, so I did. I came back from the week. I actually didn't feel too bad once I got home. And I did the Cascade Gravel Grinder on Sunday. What day is today? Today's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So this is one of Chad Sperry's events. It's in Central Oregon.
Yeah.
In near Bend in Sisters, Oregon. And I did the Cascade Gravel Grinder. I haven't done that for several years because it's the same weekend as Unbound, which we will talk about eventually. So like there's not many big names there because all the big names in cycling is all at Unbound. And so, but Chad Sperry puts on a fantastic event. It was very excellent. There were 3 distances, a big, a medium, and a small. The big event was like 90 miles and like 8,000 feet of climbing.
Okay.
The medium was 60 and 6,000 feet, and the small was 40 and 3,000 feet. I did the small, of course.
Okay.
So I mixed it up with a couple teammates and a couple other people. If you really want to see what happened in that race, go see my YouTube video.
Did you GoPro on do a chest mount or what did you do?
I had a GoPro just on my
On the
stem.
front of your, okay.
Yep, I had it on my stem, on the bottom of my stem, so it'd be right underneath my computer. So
Yeah.
I didn't have it on my chest mount, but yeah.
So you have that, and then you're doing like a voiceover?
I did a voiceover, yeah. Oh, just kind of explaining the race. I did really well in the race. It was I ended up 4th overall out of 130 in the small course, and was the first master 45 to 59. It was a 15-year age group. So, and barely beat a teammate, Tom Counts, who was gaining on me at the top of the last climb. He was within 10 seconds of me at the top of the last climb, and then it was a long downhill. And I put a minute into
And you
him.
said it was like the terrain was difficult, like downhill was sort of technical, or
It's been a very dry winter in Central Oregon, and the roads are in rough shape. So all these gravel roads are in rough shape.
the like washboard
So
kind of.
so like
that stuff is annoying.
Like the well used like gravel roads are all very washboardy, and all the B roads, the minimum maintenance roads are even worse because it was so dry. They're very sandy, and so it made for very difficult conditions: rocky, sandy, loose.
washboard. I hate
washboardy.
that. Yeah.
And so the roads were rough, which plays in my favor. So when they're rough like that, it's I kind of get through stuff like that just a little bit better than most people.
Yeah.
So I was in the lead on this race for quite a while in several different spots, just because of how tough the terrain is. As soon as there was a big climb, I got.
Did you have people to work with?
Me and teammate
He
Ed
would have,
Dudlick-
but he was racing them. He was trying to stay.
You were trying to drop them.
I was trying to stay ahead. Me and teammate Ed Dudlick, near the top of one descent, or we connected together, and we could see that there was a guy who was actually climbing really well, and so Ed and I worked together pretty hard on the descent to try to put time into this guy in the descent. It turns out we only put like 20 or 30 seconds into him on the descent, and we needed to put like 3 minutes into him.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How was his race overall?
he did well as well. He was 3rd overall, so he was a few minutes ahead of me. And
And then Tom did great, right?
and Tom did great. Tom was 1 minute behind me. Tom Counts, and so he was 2nd in the age group. And Ed Dudlick's neighbor, actually, Craig, was 3rd in our age group. So we were kind of owning the small grinder course. So that was
Good work,
That was
gentlemen.
kind of fun. So it was a good time.
Nice.
So,
Good.
enough.
Jake, you want to backpedal, or you can just say no?
No, it's all right. I mean,
You're open to backpedaling?
sure, why not? I mean, I'm probably the primary reason why we haven't done this in so long, aside from these two jokers that can't stay in the country.
They're traveling the world. They're world travelers.
and ride bicycles for a weekend or two.
Mallorca.
Let's see. The last time we did the podcast was May the 4th. Be with you. And that's when we had Cameron on, and she has since been deployed and off to Africa and doing all of her military things. It was funny because it was around that time, like Ian was talking about he's being sick. I'm like, yeah, I've had a couple bouts of like just not feeling well, but then it goes away. And it's like, I don't know, just feeling like tired and then like feeling like a little bit nauseous and queasy and whatnot, and sometimes getting some chills, and then it would go away. I'm like, that's really weird. And like, you can go solid 3 or 4 or 5 days feeling good, going out and doing flogging rides and stuff like that. And then I think the last ride that I did was on May 10th, and I rode on the trainer because I just didn't feel right. And I was starting to feel like some discomfort in my lower GI tract area, and didn't want to ride outside, went on the trainer, and that was the last ride that I did. And it turns out that I was getting actually kind of sick. I had a we'll call it a nasty little infection, if you will. And it's one of those things where it's just pure bad luck that I had. And my doctor said, it's nothing that you did. And he's like, I would not expect this. And, you're healthy and you eat well and you exercise, you do all of the things, but you get this, it's an abscess and in your lower GI tract. And it got really bad to the point where I'm like, I think I need to go see the doctor. So I scheduled an appointment, and as soon as he could get me in was like, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 days out. So each day I'm going, and each day it's getting worse. And I'm like, there's no way I can ride right now. And I'm super uncomfortable. I start getting to the point where I'm getting like very nauseous and fever and chills, and things are very uncomfortable. And I get all the way up until the day before my doctor's appointment. I go into work. And it's funny, by chance, Matt comes in that day. Yeah. He looks at me like the first thing he's like, "What's wrong with you?" Or you okay? And I'm like, "No." And I kind of explained to him what was going on. He's like, "I can take you to the hospital right now, or the doctor right now." I'm like, "I appreciate that. I'm going to go over. I just got to get some things taken care of." And, Matt graciously like offered probably 3 or 4 more times before he left, and he was following up with me. And it got so bad to the point where I'm like, I can't stay at work anymore. And I'm like, you guys are going to need to hold the fort down. And I drove myself over to urgent care. Urgent care took me in and immediately sent me to the emergency room and called ahead for me. And I didn't have to wait in the waiting room for very long at all. And there was quite a few people in there, and took me back, did a bunch of tests, a CT scan, and about an hour later I was having surgery. So
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to unlock your full potential? I want to introduce you to the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, a powerful resource to transform your life today. With expert interviews, practical tips, and inspiring stories, this podcast is your roadmap to lasting wellness. Here's what a listener has to say.
I used to struggle with my health, but this podcast changed everything. It's like having a personal trainer, nutritionist, and life coach totally for free.
With over 2,000 5-star reviews, we're a podcast you can trust. The Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
So they had to clean it out with surgery. So you stayed in the hospital for a day or two.
I had to stay in the hospital for like 24 hours to be on an IV with antibiotics and all that fun stuff. And then was sent home and told to rest and take it easy and continue with another regimen of antibiotics. And, just...
Do you have to eat like, is there anything you have to avoid food wise?
No. I mean,
they're like, here's a hamburger.
Well, they asked me about my diet in general.
Well,
and I'm like, this is pretty much what I typically eat. Well, for the most part. And he's like, yeah, you're fine. Just, just watch out for any other fevers, any kind of other things that might not feel right. And, just ease back into life. And here we are. I think it was 2.5, 3 weeks ago that happened, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Yeah, it was May 19th. So it's been a couple weeks. And I did my first ride on the trainer last night for an hour. So that went seemingly well, and just a little bit uncomfortable today, today and while I was doing it. But I think I'm going to try and ramp things back up for the 47th time in the last 7 years.
God,
so
Jake,
it's just like, if it weren't for bad luck, there'd be no luck at all for this guy over here. But I don't know, I've got plenty of other things that I got to be happy about. So anyhow, that's been my back pedal. I haven't done any bike racing, just, racing to hospital visits and doctor visits and urgent care. So
fitness will come back quick.
So
we weren't off the bike very long.
There's a very good reason for us not putting out a podcast in a month, and one of them is hospital stays.
Yeah. And plus, this podcast basically relies on Jake for 99.9%.
That is also correct.
We're here for color.
We are comic relief and the talent. Yes. That's it.
Talent.
We don't do any of the producing.
A lot of talent. But when you were in like Little League, coaches are always like, if you were just horrible, which I was horrible, the coach would just be like, a lot of potential. That means you're not good right now. You're not good. Maybe
right
you'll be
now
good
you're
later.
not good.
So that's us. We got a lot of potential.
There's
Jake
potential.
comes through with actually producing the podcast.
He does produce it entirely.
It's funny because I've got a crash anniversary coming up for getting hit by the old car with old good friend Sean Martin. And
Sean's back biking.
Oh, yeah.
A bit more.
Yeah, he's been
kind of like, it felt like he just needed a break, and now he's back.
He did, and he did the double 100, and he's been doing a bunch of other stuff.
So what are we going to do for the crash anniversary?
Well, Sean and I've pretty much always done that ride together, with the exception of last year. I was coming back from another injury and was just getting back on the bike after being off for like 9 months. So we just did a gravel ride and kept it relatively flat and went for a ride with each other. But we do have the flogging ride scheduled for that day. I don't know if I'll be doing that or if I'll go do something with Sean. I got to reach out to him and see what his
plans are. I think you should do that ride where you got hit by the car, and then that hill, just get in the super tuck and try to get the KOM going down that hill. Just to purge it from you.
I freaking ride my brakes down that hill every time now. I normally don't, but on that hill I ride my brakes.
You can really get after it down that hill too. I mean, it's a pretty decent gradient, and you can go flying down there. As a matter of fact, I remember going down it once with you, and you were in front of me, and I'm back like kind of on the brakes a little bit, just kind of taking my time, not trying to be like scared or anything like that. And there was a car that pulled out of a side street and nearly hit you.
Yep, that's
I was
right.
like, good God, are you kidding me? And I remember I had it on GoPro too. So there's something about that road, but I still go down it. I at least try to every year on the old Crashiversary to see how that goes. So
how long ago was that now? 2018, right?
7 years. So it'll be 7 years.
Yeah.
So my thought process is like, maybe once I hit year 7, and that's a lucky number, right? Good things start to happen. Maybe I can just put all this crap behind me and actually be able to put together a couple good solid years of training and get back into racing and, just kind of find some of my prior self.
Positive thinking.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Anyway, I just got to be able to find some time too. Cause that's the other thing is like you have to take a few days off, not because you want to, but because you have to. I'm like, I needed time off, but that's not how I wanted to take it. But then you come back and you've got this mountain of work that all of a sudden piled up because you didn't prepare for that and you didn't have that under scheduled. And anyway, I'm finally kind of getting ahead of the curve again. So we'll see what happens next. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's enough of that. Anything else from you?
What do we have next? What's next in the podcast? Champ. Bring him out. He's been locked in the basement for well over 4 weeks, and he's thirsty and hungry. We'll let him out.
I don't think much has happened, really.
Nothing's happened.
All right. Champ here.
Champ is here, and I'm out. There was nothing to talk about. Champ. Yeah,
I want you to detail all 21 stages of the
So we finally had the Giro. It was super exciting to watch.
Did you guys follow along?
I watched every day.
Did you? How did you do that when you were in Mallorca?
It was on Max.
Yeah, I know, but in Mallorca, I'm thinking like you're probably out biking while they're racing.
Yeah, actually, we would at night. We would
chill out and watch.
We would chill out and watch.
Cool.
On Ian's iPad.
Nice.
Yeah. So that kind of made it work. The Giro was super exciting to watch. It was really fantastic. It was so cool to see this young 21-year-old Mexican Del Toro just kind of
Don't you think he was like
showing up and
he was
drilling
like the
it.
story of the whole Giro.
It was pretty incredible what he was doing. His first Grand Tour, and he's hanging with the guys. I mean, he pushes Wout to the absolute limit on the gravel, Strade Bianche stage, and Wout ends up winning, but like barely over Del Toro. He drops all these other guys on the climbs.
How long was he in pink?
He was in pink for 11 days.
It's not bad.
No. So 11 days he's in pink. I mean, all the favorites, drop out, and he ends up being the team leader, and it was just fascinating to watch. And then completely turfs it on day 20, and I don't know if I'm sure people listening to this already know the results of what's happened, but the fact that he like lost it so badly on the second to last day of the tour, and Simon Yates just rides out of his skin on one climb. Yeah. One climb. He's been consistent this whole tour, and then he rides out of his skin on one climb and ends up winning the Giro by 4 minutes. So,
he destroyed that second to last stage.
Yes, he did.
And it was super.
He destroyed that climb. I heard that the last time it was featured was when Froome put in that. Froome actually beat Yates.
Yep,
correct.
Took the Giro away from Yates on the penultimate day
7 years ago
by attacking on the Col de Finestre.
Finestre, yeah.
Col de Finestre, and Yates completely turned the tables. And in fact, Yates' time up that climb was sub 1 hour, and he beat Froome's time by 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just Del Toro stuffing up the day. It was Yates put in the performance of his life.
I think I don't think he planned to go that fast, or I don't think he knew he felt that good. Even earlier in that stage, he wasn't responding to attacks.
No, but then he attacked like 3 times. The third one stuck.
Yeah, so he attacks 3 times. The third one stuck, and then once he starts to get a gap, you got to know that you just start to you get even more encouraged and more
every
amped
second
and
you put into this.
Oh my
is
gosh,
second.
this is working. I'm getting away from my 2 rivals. He was a minute and a half behind
he was
him.
doing like 6 watts per kilo or something.
That's correct.
Up that climb.
It's an extremely difficult climb because it's an hour long. It was like 18 kilometers, average over 9% for 18 kilometers, and the top 7 kilometers were gravel. So it is it is not an easy climb. It is very difficult. Usually the climbs are not that long or that steep, and this one just was. And it wasn't the end of the stage either. So,
and think about that though, 6 watts per kilo for an hour.
Dude, it's an FTP test.
I know. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, that's an FTP
I mean,
test.
that's on when I'm at my fittest now. Okay, and I'm an old guy, but I could do 4 watts per kilo, just about.
Yes.
For the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So that's half as much again.
Yes, that he did. So pretty incredible. The beauty of it was Wout van Aert was in the break earlier in the day, and so he was already up the road and over the climb. And the climb crested over this hill, and then there's this like 20-kilometer valley that's flat. And Simon Yates gets over the top, gets on Wout's wheel. Wout's given the direction to freaking drill it.
I mean, how many better satellite riders could be out there waiting for you to drag you to the finish line? Yeah. I mean, maybe like a Vanderpool would be somebody that would be a good person to sit on their wheel as well. But
this win was as much because of Wout as it was because of Simon Yates.
Yep.
Because Yates gets over the top. He's got like a 1.5-minute gap. He gets on Wout's wheel. Wout for the next 13 minutes averages
over 500 watts.
Oh
right?
no, it was 440 watts for 13 minutes.
Jeez.
And it went from
It's got to be hard to hang on that draft.
Yes.
And he's a big guy too. Nice draft.
Yes, fantastic draft. And Simon wasn't the only one there. There were a couple other people.
And he's tiny. He's just like tucked
He's
in
a
there.
little climber.
He's still pushing out, I'm sure, decent amount of watts
Of
to
course.
just tuck in behind.
But the gap went from 1.5 to 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
In just that
Well,
12 minutes.
that was as much Del Toro and Carapaz
Yeah, they started
battling.
battling it,
They
checking
kinda-
each other out. And
They
not,
were
not
checking
wanting
each
to
other
work.
out. Yeah. It was just
kind of
crazy.
conceded. I mean, they're like, there's no way they're going to bring that back. So then they're starting to like rubberneck each other, saying, "Who's going to go? Are you going to go? I'm going to go." Or like, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, they were within 30 seconds of each other. If Del Toro Carapaz had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
He's in second, right? He's in second overall. Whether he's second or third, who freaking cares? He doesn't care.
Del Toro had everything.
Del
to
Toro
lose.
had everything to lose. So it was his responsibility to chase Yates down as much as he could. And they kind of looked at each other and they had a conversation, and it looked like Carapaz was like, toss off, buddy. If you want to close it, you got to close it. This is your Giro. And he just like let it go. Now, maybe he didn't just let it go and he couldn't go, but man, they just kind of blew it. And that was kind of it.
I love to watch Carapaz race. He's such a great racer, I think.
Fiery.
Classic. Very classy.
UAE. How many freaking
gosh,
just cycling superstars. I mean, no, I don't know if you can call them a cycling superstar yet, but I mean, the roster is just almost embarrassing how good it is.
It is embarrassing. Yeah.
But it was great that Pogacar was not racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. He should race less often.
Well,
so we get more entertainment.
Isn't the whole thing with Juan Ayuso is like he won't do a race where Pogacar's racing because he wants to be the man.
Rumor.
And he was supposed to be the man in this race.
Yes.
And he kind of got blown up.
He kind of fell apart. He had a cup. He was in the mix until one certain day he lost.
Crashed.
He crashed.
And then he got stung in the face by a bee.
Yeah, and his whole face like swelled up. His eye almost shut. But he was already like 20 minutes back at that point because he imploded on like the day before. And so
did he abandon the race or did he?
Did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But it was a super entertaining race, close up until the end. And I think a lot of that is because Pogacar, Vingegaard, those guys were not racing. It was. I can't see the Tour de France being as entertaining. We'll see.
Yeah, Roglic won't be at the Tour de France, but it'll be a battle between Pogacar and Jonas.
What happened with Roglic again? Oh, that's right. Crashed out. Sounds about right.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. Same type of thing.
Yates brothers.
He has a history for those of our listeners who are, I mean, we probably talked about this on this podcast a number of times over the years, but it's like, it's not when is he going to, do this? It's when is he going to crash out? Which stage is it going to be? And it's always like
8 or 9.
Yeah. I feel like it's always kind of similar stages.
So
poor guy. And I like him. I think he's a good Like,
Sure, yeah.
I like it. He seems to have
Great
a good
competitor.
attitude with
Yep.
all of the triples he's had.
And you got the Yates brothers pulling it down for the two best teams in the world.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they're identical twins. You know, one's on UAE, one's on Visma Lisa bike. They shared a moment on the last stage. Even Adam Yates, the brother who didn't
Pink
win,
glasses,
was
yeah.
wearing pink glasses in honor of his brother being in pink. Actually, the whole Visma Lisa bike team were in pink accented jerseys instead of their yellow jersey.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
And he's British.
And he's British. He's from the motherland.
He's got that going for him.
Any other surprises or any other like standout performances that you guys liked about the Giro this year?
I mean, Mads Peterson owning the points jersey and the sprints,
crushed,
freaking crushed.
Yeah.
He did pretty well. Wout is not washed up, not at all. He even let out his teammate Olav Kuj for 2 victories in sprint, like perfect sprint lead outs that Wout did, and he could have gone for the points jersey himself, but he let out his sprinter who's a little bit faster than him, and he won both of those races. This was a great race for Visma Lisa bike, so I'm...
Yeah, Visma were big winners, and Lidl Trek.
Yes.
They won like 6
It's good to see Richard Carapaz having a good race too.
Yep.
And then Egon Bernal in 7th place overall.
Egon Bernal, this is like the first time he's made it through a 3-week tour where he kept his form through the whole tour since his bad accident. I mean, he's not ever going to be quite the same rider he was before the accident, which is unfortunate. But the fact that he hung on to 7th place is fantastic.
Pretty good.
Good for him.
American Brandon McNulty, 9th place. Not too bad. I mean,
top 10.
Doing work for UAE, obviously. But yeah, that was a good little bike race.
Very
now
good.
that this Giro's over, are we going to start talking about the tour?
Tour's
Late
coming.
tour.
Do we ever stop talking
Dude, it's
about
like a month away.
It's a month away.
Holy crap.
Well,
when did it become June?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Dauphiné
It's June
starts
3rd.
like this week, I think.
Yeah, or the next week. Tour of Swiss and then the Dauphiné. Those are the 2 last tune-up races before the tour.
They're usually kind of a preview.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that crap.
Yeah.
Unbound. What happened there?
Oh, yeah, Unbound.
So the biggest gravel race in the U.S. happened this last week, or probably the biggest bike race, period. So Unbound Gravel, 200 miles in the Kansas Flint Hills of Kansas. I had incredible FOMO watching all the footage and watching all the races.
Real quick too, watching that was a much better experience. Yeah.
Yes,
much
better.
I haven't watched a lot of the flow bike stuff in the past when they tried to do that. I'd seen some stuff. I'm like, that's just not good. This year, Lifetime took care of all of the production, correct?
Yeah, so Lifetime did all the production. They live streamed it on YouTube the entire race after like the first hour and a half. So they skipped like the first hour and a half or so, and then they live streamed the rest of the entire race.
Side by sides, they had helicopter, they
Yes.
had just all kinds of different vantage points. It was pretty awesome.
The coverage is pretty great.
Yeah.
Several different cameras on motos, so that you saw the different groups that were happening in the field.
It's a little hard to tell. Like I felt like they were a little unsure of how what the gaps were, which I think is okay.
That was one thing that was a little bit like, oh, come on, can't you give us more information on that? But
maybe it's just like there weren't the transponder pieces to it, but who knows?
Probably.
But I feel like the coverage was good. It made you want to get out and do that ride because some of the roads were like just boring, like open gravel fields, but then some of it were like these rolling dirt roads, and I'm like, oh, that looks so nice.
Some incredible stuff. To
Yeah,
ride. So very fun
super
stuff.
neat.
Not
Did you
for
have
200 miles? Ugh.
200 miles long.
equal parts of FOMO and PTSD?
Yes, a little bit of both. So I've gone to Unbound the last 2 years and done the 100-mile race, and conditions were very fast this year.
Yes.
So
And the times showed it.
it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, the winners were 8:37.
Yeah.
That's like 23, almost 24 miles an hour average for a 200-mile gravel race.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's so fast. So this race is difficult and tricky enough that it's hard for a break to happen.
Right.
And 2 guys got away, and that ended up being the race.
Yep.
So it was around mile 50 that World Tour breakaway specialist Simone Pallone actually made a move that stuck, and Cameron Jones, the Kiwi, the New Zealander, who had been living in Oregon all last year and raced in Oregon and Washington all last year. So we've been at a ton of races with him. He ended up bridging up to Simone, and the two of them for 150 miles went off the front. And Simone is a breakaway specialist. Cam Jones is a bigger rider who's a mountain biker, and Unbound doesn't have any big, long climbs. Like the longest climb is a half-mile long. It's still 11,000 feet of climbing because the whole course is rolling. But for a bigger guy, that just favors you. There's not some 20-minute climb or some 50-minute climb. All the climbs are like, less than 4 minutes or something like that. So Cam and Simone, they just drilled it together and swapped pulls for the next 7 hours.
It looked like Simone was leading more, I think, from just this parts that I watched. It looked like he was taking more turns up front or spending more time up front.
I think they were pretty equally.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah.
I'm sure that those guys, I mean, if you're two guys and you want to stay away,
yes.
like you can't start fighting.
Like Simone was lubing Cam's chain while they were riding. And Cam was sharing extra water with Simone.
Yeah.
And so they were like, they collaborated for that last, 150 miles.
I want to say the announcers were talking about like, oh, if one of them flatted, they would probably wait for the other person's. Like, it was like very interesting to think about, okay, well, what do you do when you're in that situation? And you still have, I mean, at some point it's like, you still have like 50, 60 miles left or whatever it is.
And they got 5 or 6 mile or 5 or 6 minute gap.
Yeah.
Which they were moving as fast as the chase groups behind them. The chase group behind them, was 5 minutes back. It only had 7 or 8 people in it. And so the bigger group was like another 15 minutes back. And so
I wondered also too, it's a different dynamic than being on the road. When you're in a big group on gravel, you got more dust, you got wheels hitting, you've got just like all these little different dynamics of the group. And then I sometimes think it's not like a well-organized like group of 7 where they're like trading out leads and it's not super smooth. It's all like, okay, I'm going to be on this side of the gravel road and then I'm going to switch to this side of the gravel road. And it's not smooth surface in between. Whereas a road is just like, hey, we know how to run these guys down. We do this and this, and this is the formula.
If you watch, so I've watched a lot. I've watched a whole bunch of different YouTube clips of people that took GoPro footage and people in the pro races that took GoPro footage. And the tricky thing about gravel races and about Unbound in particular is without that many climbs, you're usually in a big group. And so like at the beginning, there was a group of 100 riders. Yeah. And you're going down these 2-track gravel roads that are filled with rocks and potholes.
You don't get to see any
of
it.
You don't see any of it coming. And you know how fast they're going? Like
25.
32 miles an hour.
Oh.
One guy had, metrics up, and they were ripping blind down these roads. And you not only are you in the dust, but you're 40 wheels back. You're not going to see anything that's coming.
You're just like, well, I guess. Whatever
just
happens,
hope.
happens.
That's right, because that's the race. So, I mean, the trick is, that's why people flat out. That's why you tear tires. That's why you snap off derailers. It's because
you can't see what's coming.
You can't see what's coming. You're just rolling the dice. So, where's the safest spot? Up front. But if you're up front, you're using more energy.
Yeah.
So that's why 2 guys getting away was actually pretty phenomenal. And
Surprise.
then 2 of them are going to be safer because you can see what's coming with 2 guys.
Yeah.
Other than
and you're working together.
And you're working together.
It's pretty interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. So these 2 guys, when it got down to the end, Simone's a much smaller guy than Cam. And Simone, for the last 5 miles, quit taking pulls.
Yeah.
And it looked like, he's just setting him up. He's just setting him up for the final sprint, and the way Unbound ends is there's literally like a 300-meter climb.
I saw that.
It's called Heartbreak
Is it
Hill.
paved? It's like a
It's
little riser,
paved.
right?
Yeah.
It's a little riser.
So
and then
you go underneath the freeway through this little tiny tunnel, and then you end up on pavement. And the last like 2.5 miles are actually on pavement. And so right with like a mile and a half to go, you go up this little riser it's only a quarter mile long or less. It's paved, but you're at 200 miles, so you're pretty smoked.
Yeah.
And usually that's where the move happens, is in this little climb. So you just fully expected Simone, who's sitting on Cam's wheel, and Cam didn't flick him through. He just, hey, we're in this together, and we're going to sprint it out at the end, and that's what we're going to do. And Simone's probably looking at Cam, thinking, okay,
what are you doing?
Yeah, no, you're going to completely out sprint me.
Yeah.
Because he's
Sure.
a bigger guy. But he probably, I don't know if they really knew each other or who each other was. You don't have radios. You don't have information. You don't know.
Obviously, they were working together, because of where they were, but they seemed like they were friendly enough.
Right. So, yeah, friendly, but I'm saying you wouldn't know Cam's history, and unless you've really studied everybody in the field, and Cam wouldn't know Simone's history, more or less.
What did you think about how they looked after the race? Because they didn't sit next to each other after the race. I'm like, okay, I don't know, maybe they are.
No, I think it was all love.
I'm sure you watched a little closer than I did.
Yeah, I think it was all love. I think they were super happy with each other. Yeah. But they get to this final kicker climb, and you think that Simone is just going to drill it. And what happens is Cam just gets out of the saddle to power up the climb, and he just broke the elastic on Simone. I mean, he just rode away from up the climb. And so Simone was actually cracked. He was actually done. It wasn't like he was trying to set up Cam for the sprint. He was just like done. And Cam rode in solo, for the last mile and a half to win. I mean, Jake and I are both watching it live, and we're texting each other because we know Cam. He's actually been in the shop. He's he was at the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder with us last year, so I did that race. I've had lots of conversations with him. He's a very cool guy. It's just kind of fun to watch somebody actually win one of the biggest races in the world.
Wasn't he at my Barton Park 2 years ago?
Yes, he was.
Didn't he win that?
I believe so.
I think he did, yeah.
Yes. So, way to go, Cam Jones. He didn't race for POA this year because he got offered a factory deal from Scott Shimano, so he's racing for the Scott factory team. So, and now he's in the Grand Prix because he was one of the wild card riders. So now he's one of the 29 riders that are in the Grand Prix. And he's currently tied for 5th overall because he has a win.
Yeah, that's a big win. Are they 2 races in now?
Yeah, the 2 races in.
Okay.
Sea Otter and
how many races total are there?
There's 6 races total.
Okay, so he's in the mix.
Yeah, next race isn't until Leadville, which is in August. So they've got, is it August or is it July? I don't know. So anyway, Unbound was super exciting to watch. Big names like Keegan Swinson was actually in the chase group.
Yeah, I saw his crash.
He did crash.
Didn't look bad, though.
It wasn't bad, but he tore up his shoulder and he tore up his elbow and his knee. Didn't break his bike, but he did have some flat issues as well. And his crash wasn't, he didn't overcook a corner. He didn't rub wheels with somebody.
Oh, that's what it looked like.
It's what it looked like.
Okay.
He just... His front wheel caught like a tire track rut, like a truck rut.
Yeah.
And his front wheel just flipped out from beneath him. It's like one momentary lapse. You're not actually watching because it had been muddy and nasty for several days beforehand. And so there were ruts that were put into several roads that hadn't dried out completely, and some had dried out. And this was a spot that had dried out. So it just took his wheel out. Your weight goes into the wrong spot, and he was on the ground. So, but he still rallied and ended up 7th. Okay. So he was still kind of in the mix, and he's still leading the Grand Prix. Yeah.
Do you know how what's his face from GCN did in the end?
I don't. Not Simon.
No.
The really tall guy. Did he go back to do it again?
No.
Oh.
Alex did it.
Oh, I don't know.
There's just been a whole series of programs about his preparation
His
for
prep
it
for
and all that stuff. So I was interested in it.
So it ended up being a super fast race. It was pretty sticky and exciting. There was the women's race had kind of a another breakaway. 3 riders got away for like another 100 miles, and one of those breakaway riders ended up winning it. I can't remember her name right now. Lauren did not win. She faded to 11th.
What happened? I thought that was a foregone conclusion. I actually had things to do, so I had turned it off. I'm like, all right, she's got like 20 miles, 30 miles to go. I'm like, got to go do other things now. So she
faded. Yeah, Lauren Stevens. She was in the break of 3 for like 100 miles or like 120 miles. We know Lauren Stevens. She's our current like gravel national champion, but our teammate Kylie Hannell has been racing with Lauren on her teams for the last couple stage races. So
that's cool.
Tour de Bloom, Tour of the Gila or the Gila.
Redlands.
Yep. Yeah, she's been racing with Lauren Stevens. So it was so cool to see Lauren Stevens in the break, and it looked like she was going to be in the top 3, but 120 miles in the heat, things happened, and she ended up cracking and ended up 11th or something like that. But yeah, super exciting race.
Heather Jackson won the Ultra. They have like an extra large.
The Unbound XL. Yeah, the Unbound XL. It's a 350-mile race.
Because 200 is not long enough.
Yeah,
come on, people.
So kind of exciting. So last year's 200 winner, Lachlan Morton, decided I'm not going to do the 200. I've won that crap 100 times, so I'm gonna do the XL. So he does the XL, thinking it's kind of a foregone conclusion that he's going to win it. He does not win it.
Yeah,
he gets beat by Rob Britton, who is a phenomenal rider.
He's like
as
a
well.
legend as far as like long stuff goes.
But they battled for like the last couple hours, and
interesting.
And Rob Britton ended up winning. Not far behind, Heather Jackson, former triathlete and over 40 racer. She ends up winning the women's race, which is just phenomenal. Second place in the women's XL race was Serena Gordon, who lives in Bend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So oh my gosh!
I think Heather lives in Bend too, so they must be.
Yeah, Heather must.
They're
live
probably
in
buddies.
Yeah,
and then she's doing a running race next. Like I think she's doing like Leadville running race, or if she's doing.
She's an ultra marathoner as well.
Yeah. I don't know which one. She had some big running race coming up. Anyway,
so
crazy athletes.
The Unbound stuff. I mean, obviously you can tell I'm a little animated about it, and I'm a little up on it. Hyped about it because. The racing was so exciting to watch and to see kind of what happened. It was.
Do you think you'll go next year?
I will. If there's teammates that want to sign up, because it's a lottery to get in. It's not just a foregone conclusion to get in. If there's 3 or 4 teammates that want to go, I'd go back and do the 100 again. Oh, say that? I shouldn't. I don't know if I
don't
should
say that out loud.
But I'd go back because it's really the energy, the being there. Experiencing it, being part of all that, it's a really cool event to be a part of. The race is extremely hard, but I'd go back if other teammates were going back, if we could hang out together. So, Ian, Jake,
they'll think
maybe
about it.
100, maybe 100 I could do. No?
There's a 50.
I want to do that short stuff.
Actually, the 50-mile women's race was won by Izzy King, who's 7 months pregnant.
What?
Yes.
Gotta be careful, man.
Wait, what, dude?
See, look at how many. There's so many good stories.
Okay, hold on. No, seriously, to be on the bike that long in that position and to win. That's one thing, but being pregnant and then it was hot that day.
Yeah, but that's why she did the 50-mile race.
Still.
Yeah. So
I mean, what time does the 50 roll out? 8 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. So you're out there for 2.5 hours.
Okay, so maybe she did miss the but still, that aside.
Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, so good for Izzy. She's going to have a baby here in a couple months. So
that's
pretty crazy stuff.
It's not something I really aspire to. I mean, maybe, like you said, if we get teammates going out and we could do the 100, I could see myself doing it. But it's not one of those. It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean the 100. That sounds fine. I would do that. 50. Yeah, I don't know if I want to fly all the way to Kansas just to do 50 miles.
Long ways to go
and
for
then
a 50-mile race.
Go all the way out there to do 100 miles is cool, but nobody really cares that you did the 100-mile
Not so much.
thing, and you like, oh, you didn't do the full Unbound, so it's almost like, yeah.
When you're in town, nobody cares, but like nobody talks about the 100-mile race. I don't know who won the 100-mile race. It was like some 23-year-old kid,
Probably, yeah.
You know? But Paul Borsier, we've talked about him for a long time.
Sure.
He did the 100-mile race, ended up third in his age group, I believe, in the 50 to 59 age group. So he had a pretty good day. Or fourth, he was fourth in his age group. So, but yeah, it's just cool to be part of the event. Like you can do the 100-mile race and then still watch the pros finish.
Yeah, that's cool.
You can be. I was like fed, cleaned up, rehydrated, and at the finish line to watch the men and women finish. So that's kind of cool.
But still, it's not the 200.
It's not the 200. No.
Here's the thing. I have no desire to do 200 miles on gravel. I mean, I've done it before on a road bike, 206 miles to Seattle to Portland. And I don't even know if I need to do that again. That's a long time to be sitting on a bike. Yeah. For me, it was like 9.5 hours to do STP. These jokers did 200 miles on dirt. Granted, 6 miles less, but I mean, they did that freaking fast.
Yeah,
37.
6 hours is about all the time I want to spend sitting on a bike.
Sure,
one time for sure.
That's even a stretch for me. 6 hours is even a stretch for me. So,
all right, well, let's.
Champ Bailey out. My God,
I did it with nothing but my own blood, sweat.
We're an hour in.
And extra blood. People don't. Yeah,
it's long back. Long back pedal, long
dollars on the line.
Lot of news.
A lot of fans.
Dial podcast XL.
How do you beat the man on drugs if you don't?
We're an hour in.
Wait, did you just admit to being on drugs?
The EPO Chain Mail. Send us a text with your
questions. You on drugs?
Forward this podcast to 15 people.
I'm on caffeine.
And you'll lose 10 pounds overnight without even trying.
All right, that's cool. All right. Oh, thanks. We got mail. So there was a bunch of people that did send in a bunch of EPOs, and Lance and I did record a podcast / video. So it's going to be both things. And you and I did that just like a day before you left to go to Majorca.
Yes.
And it was a couple days later that I find myself in the hospital, and
Jake's in the hospital, so nothing's happening.
Just sitting on an SD card, waiting for me to edit one of these days. But we did respond to a bunch of people in that particular podcast that we recorded.
We will answer. We answered those questions. It will be put out.
Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah. So, but anyway, we're back. EPO's back. Send us your messages. We will make sure to intertwine them into the next podcast.
I'm sure there's questions now that we'll get about Majorca and about Unbound, or thoughts about that, or thoughts about gravel racing, or chest infections.
Tons of questions.
Or poor bowel movements. We will get some questions.
It's not bowel movements. Come on now.
So send us in your questions so we can embarrass Jake even more than he's already embarrassed.
Good times. Anyway, thank you, though, for everybody that has sent in those things. And again, those things got answered in the last one. And there's still the person that asked us about the drugs in cycling. We do need to still circle back to that. So stay tuned.
We can do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
There's hot topics that are fun to...
Correct.
Always fun to jump on.
Yep. All right. Hey, guys, we're going to do a hot seat.
So hot.
You got to listen naked.
Lance, put your clothes on. Matt, do you have a hot seat question for us?
It's a hot question, but I don't know if it's a good question. We can skip it we can always edit this part out. So, the other thing I didn't mention on Backpedal was state track meets. Washington State track meet was this past weekend. It was fantastic. I went up there, watched one of my athletes get second in the mile and win the 2 mile. Congratulations, Cohen Butler.
Fantastic.
Ran really well, ran a PR, went 8:56 in the 2 mile.
He PR'd the mile too, didn't he?
PR'd in the mile also.
He got second.
4:09.
What was
second.
the
It was
winning
a sprint
time?
finish, like lean at the line, and he got second in the mile. It was a special weekend for sure.
Where was the kid from that beat him?
Ooh.
That inched him out.
I don't remember.
Was it photo finish?
No, I think it was pretty clear, but I mean it was close.
Could he have dove?
Yes, he should have dove. His coach told him to dive, and he didn't do it. So no.
His coach is his dad, or you were his coach.
Well, I coach him, but his dad is the head coach of the. Well, but actually, there's another distance coach, Karen Grisky, that is also
true.
Yeah. So there's lots of coaches. There's something like, I don't know, 12 coaches of the track team. I mean, there's so many coaches.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there's a lot of us. Anyway, Also at that track meet, there was a transgender athlete that won the 400 for the 2A state championships. And there were protesters outside. And then there was a whole team of girls that, you know, had these black shirts that said like keep girls in girls sports or something like that. I don't remember exactly what their shirt said. Also, at the same time, California had a transgender athlete that won the triple jump, high jump, and long jump or something like that.
Okay.
And President Trump was calling out Governor Gavin Newsom to just be like, hey, what are you going to do about this? This athlete shouldn't be there. So what they've done is they decided that
Trump's all over it.
Trump's on it. They decided that a transgender athlete wasn't going to outplace a cis female athlete. However, they were going to allow these athletes to run. So my question to you guys, what's the right move to do here?
This is a loaded question.
Controversial.
This is a loaded, controversial question.
Right? This is a tough
That's
question.
a good question.
It's a hard
If we
hard
answer those questions, we're going to get our asses handed to us.
You cannot
either direction.
You cannot answer this question without getting your ass handed to you.
We're four cis boys sitting here.
No, let's be honest.
Spouting our
Put it out
opinions
there.
about there.
What's
so.
your opinion?
Let's start
What do you think?
Let's start with Jake.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I asked this because I find myself in a tough spot where I'm like, I really want fair sports. At the same time, I have no desire for any athlete to not feel like they have a home in our sport. Like that's super important to me.
Also
I
true.
want this has happened on my team. I'm super happy to have all athletes on my team, and I want them to feel super welcome. It gets really tricky for me when it's like, oh, and they're going to dominate the sport or whatever the event is. So the reason I ask is because I find this little bit of the sport very tricky. As
It
a
is
coach,
tricky.
As a coach, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely, it's a very delicate subject.
Yes.
There are very good arguments on both sides. It's hard to take a side and not
offend people.
Not, rouse the ire of somebody who will spew hate towards you when you pick a side.
True.
And so it's one of those cautious things where you have to be careful. Now,
And
granted,
it's part of cycling too.
It is.
It's in all sports.
There was an issue at Unbound as well.
Really?
Same thing. So nearly the same thing. A transgender athlete was in the Unbound XL, and they did not really have a policy, and so she signed up in the women's race of the XL. When she showed up, they told her that they had changed their policy 2 months before, but they did not announce that they changed the policy. And they told her that she had to race either in the men's group or as a non-binary. She could not race in the women's group.
Yeah.
So it was...
This is tough because we all have friends on this podcast
Correct.
that like race that are in this situation, and it's like everyone wants to be respectful.
I mean, let me just ask a question. Does it make sense just to make it more granular in terms of how you categorize what people are racing? I mean, it used to be very black and white in terms of like, all right, you've got men and women, and then, things have changed over the course of time in transgenderism and then, just how people identify. Can you just take that subjectivity out of it? And all apologies to anybody that thinks calling that being subjective is a bad thing, but can you just take it to a more granular level and say, you've got these chromosomes racing against these chromosomes?
No.
You can't do that.
well-
Can you do like, all right, anything over this much, testosterone races?
Yes,
in
you
this?
could do that. But
that's
that
still-
involves testing.
right. Which
and
we don't have at the high school level.
Which we don't have at the high school level. And I mean...
Well, can't you put the burden on the person that
You can if they have enough warning and if they know that that's what they have to do. What happens is, I mean, the fairest, and I'm saying this in quotes, the fairest thing to do is for a formerly male athlete who wants to compete as a woman to show what their testosterone levels have been for the last 2 years.
But there's still...
And if it's below like a certain millimole, then you can tell that they're not having this. I know it. That's why I'm saying it's the fairest, in quote unquote, that it would be. That's the fairest thing for them to still be able to compete as a woman if they've been on hormone reducing drugs and whatnot.
I mean, it's all about making the competition as fair as you can.
Yes.
And I feel that women's sports have come such a long way in the last couple of decades. It is unfair to them and this, again, I'm really into inclusivity. I'm not at all anti-trans or anti-anybody. Do what you want. I don't be who you are. But I think it's unfair to women, and the science backs this up. If you have been through puberty as a male and then transitioned, you're still at a physiological advantage over your peers as women. It's all to do with a lot more than your testosterone levels.
I agree. I think it has a lot more to do with your testosterone levels. I think there's science to back that up. However, how do we get these athletes in sports and keep them in sports and keep them part of, part of our group that we all feel like that athletics is such a beneficial thing? And maybe the answer is like the testosterone level of proof or whatever.
If you allow transgender females to compete with biological females, for all the good that will do in terms of the transgender population and encouraging more people into sports, you are turning away biological females who are discouraged by that, that feel that the playing field is not level, and so for every person you attract into the sport, you're going to
push out a lot more.
There's an argument to be made, like these girls that are maybe getting pushed out of sports are less likely to commit suicide. I mean, like that's the statistic that's thrown out.
This is
frequently.
exactly the comment that I wanted to make, because it's a bigger issue than sport. It's a much bigger
100%.
issue than sport, because most of these transgender athletes don't feel like they belong anywhere in their lives,
which is a crime. Yeah.
And so because they don't feel like they belong, it can lead to suicidal, ideation and suicide attempts and issues. And that is a major issue in the whole trans community, even in the gay community.
Yeah.
Suicidal ideation can be an issue. And if part of that comes from them not feeling like they belong in a group because they don't, that's why we need to be inclusive. I mean, suicide and death is a way bigger issue than some dumb race, right? But and that's why it's become such an issue. I don't want to discount that at all. That's the side of it that says let these people compete where they feel they fit the best. That's the argument to that side.
Yes.
The other side is it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's potentially not fair.
It's why it's a hot seat.
It's okay for us as biological men with higher testosterone levels, and it doesn't affect our racing. But if you had a female athlete in here who devoted her life and trained 10, 20 hours a week, then gets beaten out by...
The three of you guys have daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't know.
It's right. That's why it's such a difficult topic to broach. That's why it's a problem for race promoters to know what to do with the transgender athlete. The other thing is many times people will register for a race and you don't know that they're transgender. They just register as, and they show up and they're like, okay, wait, is this actually fair or is it not? Yeah. Should we care about that? Should we not care about that? This is just sport. It doesn't really matter. But then for some people, it really, really freaking matters.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's like life or death. So, so which side do you end up on? That's a hard decision to make.
I mean, the governing bodies or the people putting on the race need to have a robust policy in place.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. It's important to have those policies so everybody knows from the beginning where they stand on it.
Yes. USAC has a policy. The UCI has a policy, and it's pretty laid out there.
But we're in this weird political phase where like Washington State has a policy and our federal government has a different policy, and they're threatening to take away funding because of all of these things. And the thing that I think gets under my skin is yes, this is not a perfect situation. However, protesting and wearing shirts and all this stuff at these races, we're talking about a high school person here. Like there's no need for that. Like there's no reason to boo at the award ceremony.
Yeah.
Like this is the place we are at this point. And it's like, I just feel like everyone needs to say like, hey, this situation, we haven't quite nailed it yet. We don't have it figured out on whichever direction it is, but let's not boo athletes and let's be respectful of all the people that are there. They're young athletes. They're trying to figure out a lot of stuff, not, specifically like it's their gender, but like they're trying to figure out who they're going to take to prom. Like there's 1,000 different other issues that are going on. They don't need people booing them at their state championship.
That's why it's such an emotional, difficult topic to discuss. And on either side, if you come down hard on either side, the other side is going to be upset and with you. I mean, us just having this conversation,
we'll get some good hate mail.
We'll piss people off.
Yeah, use the what's our mail system? EPO mail system. Let us know. I just want when athletes come on my team, I want them to know like, hey, you're part of this team.
Welcome.
You're part of this family. You're part of this group. Like this is our team. These are your friends. We're not judging you.
Yep.
So is it not okay in this day and age to just have an open category?
No, I think that is the route that some race groups have gone with.
OBRA,
right?
It's not a men's category; it's an open category. You know, but the women's category is a women's category, so that doesn't solve the issue.
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying?
But for every one person that you're being inclusive in allowing them to come in and do your thing, I mean, you have to think about the vast number of people that take exception to that.
Correct.
And they feel slighted and they feel like all of the hard work that they're doing, be like me to you. Like, are you a competitive person, Lance?
Yes, way too much.
You chase every single KOM out there. You chase all of the different races. You're training your butt off every year. I mean, what if somebody just came on the scene and they were doping and they just took everything from you and you could never beat them and there was nothing that you could do about it?
I would be pissed. If I knew they were doping, I'd be pissed. There's some guy taking all my KOMs in town right now, and I just want to believe he's cheating. He's not. He's just freaking fast. But
in California, so in California, they basically they said that no one's going to be displaced by this athlete. What do you guys think about that?
So they're going to let them run, but they're not going to get to stand on the podium. They're not going to get recognized for their times. This is where having a little bit of research would have been good.
Yeah. I think you had, in this case, 2 winners and then a second place and a third place.
How's that any different from just having like an open category or a non-binary category? Just out of curiosity. I'm just asking.
Not non-binary.
Okay, well, just
not non-binary.
Yeah, there are a lot of
you see what I'm saying?
But just have an open category. Like, all right, if you're not this or that and you fall in that gray middle, just have an open category.
You're saying they're not this or that, but the expectation is that they are this or that.
Get more granular then. Lance, tell me, why can't you have an XX and an XY category? Because that's what your DNA is.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Chromosome.
Well,
or your chromosomal.
You could.
Someone
could do that.
Isn't
that the USAC
it might be
thing now that if you've been through puberty as a man or as a biological male,
you can't compete as a woman.
I think that's
a
lot of the
USAC
sports
thing.
Governing bodies have gone that way.
I mean, it.
So what it means is all these transgender athletes are not welcome at USAC events. They don't feel like they can't compete in those USAC events, and so that's what creates the
feeling unwelcome,
the animosity.
That we want
to
avoid.
choose. They choose
they
other
could
races.
compete in an open or a men's category, I guess.
Yeah.
What's if it's just open and they're not calling it anything, not putting a label on it? It's just an open bike race for anybody that wants to join. And
but imagine the athlete that has been transitioned their whole life and doesn't know anything other than being like, I've always done women's sports, like I've always done this, and now I have to go compete in the guys' sports. Like this just seems odd.
And they've been like on hormone suppressing drugs for a decade.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you should be able to show that with the blood test. But you have to know that you need the blood test.
I almost feel like they shouldn't even have to. Like,
This
I almost
is why
feel like
it's so controversial.
I'd love it if it was like, the parents have say in this and the coach has say in this, and it's kind of like, just trust me, this athlete's good. Like, they're good in this category.
Yeah.
Just trust me. Like, this is the right spot.
Yeah.
So are you good if I show up to the Ginger Olympics and I whoop your butt in the bike race?
In the Ginger Olympics?
Yeah.
That's a very prestigious event.
I know.
First of all.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm a ginger.
I feel like I could check your chromosome levels for gingerness, and I don't think that you would have the right chromosome. No.
I identify as a 90-year-old man. So I'm only competing in 90-year-old categories from here on out.
I do feel like you would. No one's going to second guess that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Full of wrinkles.
I don't know if I actually answered your question, and it's a tough one, and we've already discussed that.
It's super hard.
Outside of sports, I really don't care. I mean, I just care about who you are as a person. Yep. Are you a good human? Are you an a-hole? Are you do you have good character? Are you somebody that I want to hang out with? That's how I judge a person. I don't care what you identify as. Yep. I mean, if that's what your identity is and that's all you want to do, then that's fine and well. But I'm more concerned about who you are as a person. I've got a lot of really good friends on both sides of that coin, and they're great people. When we get into this discussion, when we delve into the world of sports, I can see all of the points made. I just don't know if I can personally stand behind it and fully subscribe to, like, fully letting somebody come in and do their thing and destroy people because they had a physiological advantage, like Ian pointed out, and have that have a negative effect on countless other people. Because I know plenty of women who have expressed concerns about this kinds of things, and they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to talk, openly about how they feel and how this affects them, because they'll get completely ostracized. And then the other thing is, like, I get the sensation that the people are not sensation, the feelings that the people are feeling that are in that position of being, non-binary, transgender, transition, or whatever they might be. They want to go compete, but it's just one of those things where we just need everybody to be okay with there being a third category or an open category. Yeah. And that's just as prestigious. And if it's a situation where CIF down in California is telling you that you're going to have co-people, then that just sullies the whole thing. It's just like, well, why not have your own category? Then you can go out there and wreck shop against all of the other folks that want to race in that category. Who cares who you are? And if you win, then you win, as opposed to, like, I'm going to go race in this category and I'm not going to really win. I'm going to kind of do this, and there's all this tension. Like, just be okay with there being a third category.
I think that all of the
not even a third category, just open, like you said.
Sure,
open category.
I think that the discussion on all parts is understandable, and I think that the hard thing for a lot of people that are keyboard warriors is to really listen and be like, really think about it and be like, yes, these are all valid arguments, all different directions, and it's okay if people don't agree. Yeah, it's okay. That's life. People don't agree. That's why it's a hot seat question.
Yes, and that's a very good point. It's okay to have differing opinions, and we don't need to, like, beat each other up over the fact. Like, you can just have civil discussions about it and see where you can kind of come to a civil understanding. And even if that means that you're not completely on the same page, just agree to disagree. But you got to think about, like, the bigger picture, and then just be kind to people and do the right thing. So, wow, I think that just ate up.
So sorry about that.
No, I was not expecting that, but yeah,
that's what having conversation like this is important. I mean, whether it's you need to be able to have this conversation. It's hard to take a side with something like this.
What's funny is you're hanging out at these track meets all the time or whatever. There's, like, protests going on. There's people wearing shirts, and we really didn't even talk about it because we were so busy with our own athletes doing their races and things like that. It's like the focus was on, like, our athletes doing the jobs that they needed to do, and so as much as you'd think it would, all of this drama would take away from the track meet, I don't think it did. Like, it's almost like an afterthought. Like, it's an afterthought because this made national news, but when I was there, like, we're focusing on, like, having our athletes run as the best they possibly can. So,
well, there was a similar protest in Oregon at the state track meet.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Where in California,
in California, and then we had this issue at Unbound as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's out there. Yeah.
I don't think you answered the question. I think you just danced on both sides of it. So
that's exactly what I did, Jake. I did that on purpose because I'm gonna upset somebody if you really dig in on a side.
People hate you enough already.
There's already enough hate.
Yeah.
There's enough Lance hate out there.
I just got back from Mallorca, guys. Let me tell you my transgender thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you either of you, Lance and Ian, have any hot seat questions that you want to throw through real quick? Anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. Call it.
I can't follow
We're
that.
calling it. No, we have used our allotted time with the hot seat, I believe. Unless you've got something you really want to discuss. Jake.
No,
save it. We can just not call it a hot seat question, and we can do a hot seat in another week or two.
Yeah.
Just one quick question. Would you ever try and cross the 14 highway at 9:30 at night on a bicycle?
I also wear black, and if there's anything that's not black that I'm wearing, I'll cover it in electrical tape so that I can dart quickly in and out of traffic without them seeing me, you see.
And riding from the shoulder to the median,
does that seem like a good idea?
Yeah, it seems fantastic.
Yeah, Jake is referring to a cyclist was killed last night here in Vancouver.
Now I feel guilty for joking.
There was a cyclist killed last night in Vancouver, crossing one of our major highways, where there's a cement median in between.
It's basically imagine crossing an interstate.
It was dark.
Yeah.
It was 9:30 at night. He's cutting across traffic. He got hit by 3 different cars. They have not announced his name. I'm fairly certain.
Was he a cyclist or just a guy on a bike?
Great question.
Probably
I'm pretty sure it was a guy on a bike, because the only reason to cross where he crossed is to get to a known camping site. How do I say that carefully? See, I'm still dancing on either side of the issue.
Same thing happened. I was going down 14. This is over a year ago. And I swear someone wearing all black, sprinted across.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's more of a suicidal thing. That was I think maybe they're trying to commit suicide. It was really scary.
Yeah. So he crossed in a very, very odd spot. And the whole story isn't out yet.
And just like a week or two ago, we had another jackhole driving his car the wrong way on the 14 and took out another car and killed a 18-year-old kid that was getting ready to graduate from high school. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Stop it, people.
But he was drunk. That was a drunk driver.
Yeah, that guy was an idiot.
You had anyone run into the back of your neighborhood, back of your yard in a while?
No
Okay.
more.
Hold on.
Well,
knock on wood.
It's been 4 weeks.
It's about time.
It's about time.
You're overdue. Someone goes drunk up your road and usually ends up in your backyard.
Yeah, that happens.
Have you ever heard the Duke's Hazard horn?
I feel like you should have that in your backyard ready to go.
It was the time I walked out in the 2 a.m. and there was a car upside down in my front yard.
Oh my gosh!
And my fence was still intact, which
They
means
skied it, huh?
Hot air.
They skied the fence. It's a 6-foot fence, and they skied the fence.
Wow.
You need to have a big bullhorn PA thing out there and have that on a button where you can just hit that as soon as.
That would be good.
Go there and give him a score.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's do one last thing. Matt,
One last thing.
Finish us up here.
Keep it uncontroversial.
Yeah, jeez, Matt.
I'm always posting videos to YouTube. Check it out, youtube.com/mlegrand. I think the latest video was about the Suunto Run, which is a new watch from a company called Suunto. Pretty nice watch, very reasonably priced. And the next video that's coming out actually is maybe more interesting to people because Garmin introduced 2 new watches, the 570, the Garmin Forerunner 570 and the Garmin Forerunner 970. So you'd think that they would go to the 975. They went to the 970, some weird naming conventions there, but
the computer, they're taking over the computer.
Yeah, it's odd. I'm going to mention that in my review as well. The naming convention is a little bit odd. But it's basically Garmin's top-of-the-line Forerunner series watches that were released. And they're brighter AMOLED. The Forerunner, the 970, actually has a flashlight.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then they also did a titanium bezel and a sapphire screen.
How much heavier is that?
No, not heavy at all.
Is it
Very
heavier
light.
than the previous?
The previous model? I think it's the same weight as the previous model. So
it's pretty.
But it's also a good bit more expensive. I think it's $750 versus like $600 for the old one. So
screen is super bright on this thing too.
Pretty big increase in price, but it's better materials and you do get the flashlight. I'm kind of on the fence on this. I think that I love the better materials. I think it'll hold up a little bit better. I think it'll last a little bit longer, but I don't love the price increase. I don't love a slightly different heart rate monitor, but that's not the biggest deal in the world. So Watch those videos. They're coming out
Cool.
as soon as I can get back in front of the computer. So as soon as this podcast is over.
Yeehaw. Gibbo.
Yeah, I don't have much. Need my chest to clear up. I need the pollen count to go down, and I can go back to racing my bike. There is one last PIR, Monday PIR, coming up next week.
Mm-hmm.
The Tabor series starts next week, I believe.
This
If not-
Wednesday.
this Wednesday?
Yep.
Tomorrow?
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not much ahead for me. Another 4 weeks, and I'll be heading overseas again. Spend 6 weeks in Garmisch, Germany.
Sweet. What are you going to do there?
I'm going to drink some German beer.
Ooh, I like that.
Eat some sausages.
Pretzels.
Go hiking.
Beer, hiking.
And also, I'm taking my bike. So
Yeah.
we're going to do some rides in Italy and France and those kind of places.
Sweet. Sapler going with you? You guys going to Hans and Franz it over there?
I'm not, but I did have a layover in Munich on my way
yes.
to on my way to Mallorca, and I went down to the Oktoberfest like big Hofbrauhaus, which because I wanted to see what Oktoberfest was.
I feel like you took some photos that ended up on.
I took some video or some photos. I did something on Instagram about it, but yeah, it was kind of funny.
That's cool.
Yeah, the whole town was dead, and then I walked into Hofbrauhaus, and it was a freaking party.
Yeah.
And it was like it's
A lot
5
of
o'clock at
people
night.
go to Munich specifically for the Oktoberfest. It's a big thing there. Or to go to the Hofbräuhaus. But that time of year in the summer, like every little town has its own local beer fest, and they're super cool. You know, you have it's all very, very traditional, but it's just a like in a lot of places in Europe, it's like the whole town will come out and conquer and get pissed together, get drunk.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Lance, what's your favorite ball sport?
What?
Basketball.
Soccer.
You like soccer?
Suck my balls.
Soccer balls.
Suck my balls.
We're losing our
It's my own balls.
Suck my balls.
My favorite ball sport is scratching.
Suck my balls.
This is our G rating. I'm pretty sure that
Soccer
we're
balls.
supposed to. Wasn't someone? Didn't we do a survey? Did we do a survey of some sort that said that we wanted to keep our?
Suck my balls.
Didn't we do a survey that said keep it G, keep it PG?
Oh, yeah, we
Lance
did.
loves soccer balls. For some reason, likes to suck on them. I don't know.
It's just all
Just
about
like
soccer
people
balls.
sucking on. You know, anyway. Lance, you got one last thing for us?
Yeah, my one last thing. Tomorrow, June 4th, is my 31st wedding
Hey-yo.
anniversary.
Hey.
So,
Whoa.
Brandy Hepler, my adoring, wonderful wife, she makes my life much better and much more enjoyable than it would be without her. She's my partner and my love for life. And thank you, Brandy. You will never listen to this. So.
She made it to the end of the podcast.
She makes the end of it. She'll never make it to the end of the podcast. Anyway.
Today's my oldest son's birthday. He also will probably listen to the end of the podcast. I'd expect.
Okay.
15?
15.
Wow.
Getting old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mine's turning 16 in a couple weeks.
Oh man.
Another driver in the family.
Oh boy.
That'd be good.
There goes the car insurance.
Yeah, the insurance. Car insurance is a.
How is Brandy doing? How's your shoulder?
She's doing good. She's out of the sling and she's moving around. We are going to take a trip to Utah here next week or the week after.
Sweet.
So she'll get out of the house.
Is she going to go do pickleball or anything like that? She can
She
she
won't be
cleared
able to-
for anything,
She
or-
won't be able to play
Could she
pickleball
play
for
with
like
her
another
hand?
6 months.
Can she do anything with the other arm?
Yeah, kind of, but she's
Okay.
not any good. So
Okay. Okay.
she doesn't like to go out there
Right.
and just.
Be worse than she would be otherwise.
Yeah.
Probably no riding bikes, no playing soccer, none.
No, she can walk, she can hike, and she can ride a trainer. So that's the three things she's
And I've
been
seen her
doing.
been doing some
Paint.
artwork.
And she's back. Her hand works good enough now that she's back. She
She's
posted a picture yesterday about a trip a picture we took in Heidelberg, Germany, and she painted a picture of this bike sitting against this window. It's
She's
really
an
cool.
amazing artist. It's pretty fun to follow her on Instagram.
Can I ask a question for my one last thing?
Yes.
This was kind of, this was one of my hot seat questions that I was going to ask, but I'm like, nah, but it can be super, super quick. Your quick little feedback here. What is your best sleep hack?
Oh, I don't have one. I sleep like crap.
Okay. So same boat.
Yeah, I don't sleep well.
Gibbo, you got a good sleep hack?
Tylenol PM.
Tylenol PM.
and Ambien.
Okay,
if
that's
needed.
that's an if needed, like if you really need to sleep.
Yeah,
But do
yeah.
you have any kind of like a consistent like thing that you can lean into to help you get better sleep?
I think you should go to bed earlier, Jake. Like, I know
Yeah.
it seems
He
weird.
goes to bed early already.
I know, but like 8 o'clock. Because here's the thing: you're gonna wake up at 3, right? No matter what.
Well, if I go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'll wake up at like 2:30 or 2.
I just try not to have any, like I really suffered badly with insomnia when I had to be up early to work the next day. And anytime I've got anything on where I have to set my alarm for, I'll wake up in the night and get into a stress about it. So
here's the thing with
the
me.
hack is I don't schedule anything early in the morning. Just do your work through the evening if
I have
necessary.
zero issues going to bed.
You're how I am.
My head hits the pillow. I'm done. I'm gone. I'm out. Like 30 seconds to a minute later, I'm sleeping like a baby. It's the staying asleep part that I can't.
This is just like me.
Can't
This
nail
is
that.
exactly like me. Like
Yeah.
I think a couple of things, right? Like the standard stuff that you can do. No screens an hour before bed.
Yep.
You can cut that out. You can do like very routine bedtimes, blackout curtains. You can. There's one person that was like that I read because I've been like really into trying to improve my sleep, which is really crappy. But like there was one person that was like they have this thing where they basically have a conversation with themselves where they're like, this is my time. I block 30 minutes a day to do this, to worry about whatever. And then I don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking about whatever it is. And he's like, nope. Like if you start to feel like that, nope, that's already been accounted for. I already have that time specifically at 4:30 p.m., not at 3:30 a.m. What does that work? I don't know because I've never honestly tried it, but like this person swore by that, whoever it was, like a podcast or something. Trying to think of the other hacks. Are you drinking caffeine late at all? Not really, right?
No, I usually don't have any caffeine after like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning.
And then you're like me, like even, like you're going to bed just fine.
I would say just explore it sounds bad, but explore the medication side. Like you don't want to take Ambien habitually. It is addictive. But if you can just break the cycle of waking up, it's good for that. And then always knowing that something's there if your sleep goes to
Poo-poo.
and you have something important to do the next day, it's kind of just like a fallback, but definitely not something to do in the long run. But it'll break the cycle.
I've been there, done that. To no luck. I've tried different things.
When you do that, you still wake up at 3?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, like
Okay.
I've tried taking the THC sleep gummies with the CBD, all the other stuff, and that helps. Again, fall asleep great, and it's just my brain wakes up. But
I take melatonin.
yeah,
You tried that?
I've tried that before.
My problem is if I take anything at all, then I'm like I'm out. Like
magnesium, was it magnesium glycinate?
Yeah,
I think it is like that. That helps, but again, I just generally don't sleep well enough. Like this past weekend, I slept on Friday night and Saturday night collectively almost 9 hours of sleep between two nights. And then on Sunday night, I was completely wrecked on Sunday. And I know this is going really long, but I was completely wrecked, and I just basically like did not allow myself the chance to slow down. I kept doing all the things, and it was almost comical how like how broken down I was. And I went to bed at like, I don't know, it was like 9 o'clock, and I got almost 7 hours of sleep. It was like just shy of 7 hours of sleep. But here's another thing, and maybe we need to talk about sleep one of these days.
We should.
Consistently will sleep somewhere between 5 and 6 hours, which isn't enough. I should be sleeping 7-ish more.
Or 8.
I consistently get a lot of deep sleep according to my Garmin. Like I consistently beat my wife. Yeah. Like
that's impressive.
Like I'll sleep for 5.5 hours, and I'll get like an hour and 45 to 2 hours of deep sleep.
It's all of that front loaded because my deep sleep is front loaded,
Yeah,
which is
me
why
too.
which is normal for
So
people. But
there's a couple different schools of thought on that. Yeah, this could be a whole nother podcast talking just about sleep, but there's a couple different schools of thought.
Quick question.
Yeah, the deep sleep and REM sleep is where your recovery stuff actually happens, but your light sleep counts just as much. Yeah. So, even having a good amount of deep sleep and REM sleep, if you still have 3 or 4 hours of light sleep, it still affects your overall condition just as much. Yeah. So,
well, last night, just as a quick example, and I know this is getting super long, I had almost we'll call it 7 hours of sleep on Sunday night. So I felt great yesterday. I don't normally feel that good because of sleep, which is which is fantastic. And then I was having a hard time going to bed last night. Well, I just wasn't tired. And like, I'm usually like, I'm ready to go to bed at like 9. I'm like, I'm done. And then, so last night, I am just sitting there. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get upstairs, go to bed, did my whole thing. And I went to bed at 10:30 last night, which is really late for me. I slept until 4:18. So that was that's pretty normal. So that's a total of 5 hours and 49 minutes. Not terribly bad, but in that 5 hour time span, I got 2 hours of deep sleep and 3 hours and 39 minutes of light sleep and 10 minutes of REM. I feel pretty good today.
Keep in mind the Garmin tracking, and I think we're all wearing Garmin's.
Perfect.
Is not going to be like a scientifically like you really got this much deep sleep.
Sure,
but it's something.
Yeah,
it's something to track, and it's consistent because you're using the same device every night. But still,
Okay, here's my last hack with sleeping.
Go for it.
Ian probably knows this because we've shared hotel rooms quite a bit. I wear a shoody at night.
Is that like a eye cover thing?
No.
You short your pants?
Should he? Is that like should he keep his pants on?
Should he not? Definitely not. A shoody is a t-shirt hoodie. So it's like a hoodie, like a sweatshirt, like a hooded sweatshirt, but it's made out of t-shirt material, and I pull the hood over my eyes.
Okay.
And so it's over my ears, it's over my eyes, my nose is open. I actually wear a nose strip every night too to help me breathe.
Does it help?
Yeah, it does.
I should try that.
So I wear something over my eyes and ears, which decreases the amount of external things that can wake me up.
What nose strip do you use?
I don't know, breathe right.
Breathe right? Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably lean into something like that if I was waking up after the sun came up. And this time of year, the sun's coming up really early.
Yeah.
I'm still up well before that. It's just kind of crazy. Those damn birds. I'm going to go out there and start shooting those damn things. This time of year, the springtime's...
White noise then. Turn on white.
Yeah, we've got white noise, got the fan going. I don't know. All the things.
All right.
But anyway, I'm just kind of curious if you guys had something.
Keep working on it. Keep working on it.
All right. That's enough of that. Thank you for sticking around for this
ultra long podcast.
We do appreciate everybody listening, and I promise we will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.
Click, chef's kiss. I'm saucing on them. All these green faces in my pockets, bout to vomit on them. There they go.
Try to get me on the phone, but I tell them all leave me alone, cause I gotta get inside the zone. Leave a message at the tone.
We're sorry. You've reached a number that's no longer in service, you broke-ass, cheap-ass...
Dodgy wankers.